We interrupt your regularly scheduled Halloween content to bring you an update on my lizard. Because I've now had Roger, my Crested Gecko, who is in this terrarium here, for about 2 months now, and I just kind of wanted to give you an update on how my thoughts about owning a lizard have changed, what I've learned in these 2 short months from being someone who knew nothing about reptiles and got one, to now someone who spends most of her time learning things about reptiles. I'm also trying something different with my audio today, so if it sounds better or worse, we'll find out. So like I said, I didn't know a whole lot, slash anything, about reptiles until about 2 or 3 weeks before I got Roger, and then for some reason I fell down this like rabbit hole of obsessing about reptiles and watching exclusively reptile YouTube channels and watching Emma and Sampson and Clint's Reptiles and Snake Discovery and Kamp Kenan and all these really great reptile-based channels, and learning as much as I could about reptiles because I just thought it was fascinating. In most of my life, we have had cats in this house, and we also have 2 dogs. It was just something I never interacted with and I never knew anything about. As I have said before, I wanted a bearded dragon, but I didn't have a space for it, and I thought crested geckos were so cute, and they look like little alligators, little dinosaurs, so I got one, and my Crested Gecko's name is Roger, and I love him. So something that I did not know about Crested Geckos going into this is that they require very minimal, almost no daily maintenance. That was something that I was not expecting because I'm used to having to fuss over my cat all the time. I'm a fusser, okay? It's a good thing I don't have human children because they would hate me because I'm a fusser. But with Roger, I really just have to make sure he's alive. That his humidity and temperature are at decent levels, which we will talk about more in a minute. I gotta check his terrarium for poop, but that's easy. And, like, change his food bowl sometimes. Like, not every day. I change his food bowl every other day. It's kind of annoying, actually, because I wish I could fuss over him more, but I really can't. There's just nothing to do. And so, speaking of his poop, I mean, maybe this is TMI, but I really had no idea what lizard poop looked like before I had one. And as far as my Crested Gecko is concerned, they're pretty much just like little hamster poos. Like, they're little, just like pellets, if you will. Not this big. Definitely not this big. Little, like, pellets with the urate on the end. And so, when I see one, I just use a little thing and a Kleenex, and I scoop it up and I throw it out. And that's it. That's all it takes. Significantly less work than changing the cat litter. Something else I didn't know before I got Roger is that while you can buy those, like, startup kits from certain brands for specific reptiles, it has most of the stuff in it, but it really doesn't have it all. And there are still going to be some things you need to buy. So I've looked at a couple of different brands, and the Zoom Ed one, which is actually the one that I bought, is the best one. It's got this terrarium. It's really nice. I like the branch that comes in it. That's what I have in there right now as well. It comes with a fake plant for the side of the terrarium. I'm actually not using it right now. I just didn't like how it looked with the rest of my fake plants, but you can use it. You definitely need more foliage, significantly more foliage than what comes in that kit. I have way more in there, as you can tell. Another thing that kit doesn't come with, that I feel like if you're gonna have a lizard of any sort, you need it, is a thermometer hygrometer. So the thermometer measures the temperature in the terrarium, and the hygrometer measures the humidity. So someone like Roger is a tropical lizard, so he needs a fairly high temperature and a fairly high humidity. I like to keep his humidity a little bit lower during the day and higher at night, and the temperature higher during the day and lower at night. I live in southern Ontario, so it is cooler here, and even at the beginning of October, my bedroom was getting cool. I swear they did not make this room properly when they added it onto the house, because it gets so cold so fast in here. So it was already, like, not cold outside, but then I would check his thermometer, and it was saying it was only 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not even as cold as it's going to get. So I knew then that I had to get something to heat up the terrarium. You might not need one. Crested geckos can live at, like, room temperature, but when your room is freezing already and it's not even winter yet, I was going to need something. So I bought I think it was by Zoom Ed, the Nano light with the halogen bulb. So now I can actually see in the terrarium, which is the first plus, because it's got that nice light. But it also does warm it up quite a bit. So now when I check the thermometer during the day, it says it's about 78 degrees, which is much better than the 68 I was getting before. And then I just shut it off at night. So not only does that then help with my temperature, but it also helps with Roger having a day-night cycle, which is something a reptile like him would need, especially because he's nocturnal, and I get to hear him go crazy every night. He doesn't actually make any sounds. He just makes a lot of noise in his terrarium. So you definitely don't need a light depending on your climate and where you are and if you need the light to see in the terrarium, but I definitely think you need a thermometer, hygrometer, no matter what. I'm actually surprised it doesn't come in the Zoo Med kit. It really should. The thermometer, hygrometer, and a mister should come in the Zoo Med kit. I don't know why they don't. But they do give you the sample packet of the calcium, whatever it's called, the calcium that you dust bugs with. I'm actually still just using the sample because it was so big. And a sample of food and a bunch of stuff like that. So I think the Zoo Med starter kit comes with a lot, but it doesn't come with everything. Another thing that I truly did not know about reptiles, if you will, before I had one, is that each one truly does have their own personality. All of the YouTubers and the channels and stuff that I watched, and the lizards that I had met in real life, and that sort of thing, they all seemed like, okay, I knew that they all had their own personalities, but I just didn't know the extreme, because they all seem sort of similar, like, they don't really want to be held, but they'll put up with it, and that sort of thing. And then I got Roger. Now, please understand, Roger is my child, so he's stuck here now. Like, we're stuck together. He's not going anywhere, but God, does he hate me. He truly hates me. I know some people convince their reptiles to like them by tongue feeding them, to therefore get the reptiles to associate them with food. But I don't want to do that because when I feed him crickets, like, I want him to have to hunt them. And he likes hunting them, so if I tongue feed him, then to me it completely defeats the purpose. I would just rather have my gecko hate me. So whenever I go near his terrarium, he, like, looks at me and then he, like, runs away and hides. And I'll, like, try to pick him up because I'm trying to get him, like, used to my hands and used to my scent because he's still a baby. And he's, like, freaking out and flailing. He still has his tail. Has not lost his tail yet. He's, like, flailing. This is what an asshole he is, okay? So, yesterday I opened his terrarium to adjust where the little, like, the output thing for the hygrometer is. And I look at him and I see him. I'm like, oh, hey, Roger. And I go to, like, I don't know, like, he's not really totally facing me, so I wasn't, like, in a predatory stance or anything. But I just went to, like, pet him or something. And he totally just, like, turned and looked at me and jumped out of his terrarium onto my arm and then jumped onto the floor. I really thought he was going to hurt himself. Like, I always thought if he jumped onto the floor, he would hurt himself because he's so small, and I thought that would be enough. But no, he's on the floor, and now I'm in a wheelchair, right? So I'm like, how do I get him up from the floor? And he's there with his fingers all backwards, right? Because that's how they sit. And he looks at me with what my younger sister calls his shit-eating grin. And then he climbs under my chair. So now it's even worse, because now if I move, I'm going to totally squish him. So it was just a whole ordeal to get him out from under my chair. And when I finally, so, like, I had to be taken out of my chair and put on the floor so I could, like, fish him out. And so I finally get him. I'm holding him. I'm going to put him in this thing so that he can be put in his terrarium again. And, like, as I'm holding him, like, he turns and bites me, like, at least 4 times. At least 4 times. Fortunately, he doesn't have teeth, so when he bites you, it truly doesn't hurt. But it just made me laugh because I've seen so many Crested Gecko owners on YouTube, and they talk about how they've never been bitten. And I have been bitten by Roger so many times. Even just in that one scenario yesterday, I have been bitten by Roger so many times. It doesn't hurt. It's just disappointing. It's like, why are you biting me? You still have your tail, but why are you biting me? Much like my cat with my reptile. I adopted an asshole. He hates me. It's fine. We're gonna get used to each other. It'll be great. And then the final thing I wanted to mention is something that I didn't know that I would love as much as I do. It's almost my favorite part about owning a Crested Gecko is decorating the terrarium. So I always thought that, like, you know, I was watching these YouTubers who have, like, bioactive terrariums, that sort of thing, and I was like, oh, that's cute, but, like, that's so much work for me. Like, I'm never gonna do that. I'll just stick with my plastic plants and that sort of thing. And now I'm, like, all into it. So this is still all plastic. But I'm thinking eventually at some point when he gets bigger, because he's still very small, I'm going to have to upgrade it. So when that day comes and I upgrade it, I really want to go bioactive. And I'm not someone who knows anything about plants to begin with at all, but this has provided the most perfect opportunity for me to learn about plants. I've always wanted to, I just needed a catalyst. So I started watching Planterina here on YouTube, and she has got to be one of my favorite humans on the planet. Like, she's just so poised and so chill, but she's funny, and she's just... all of her vibe is what I want to be someday. So I've been learning all of my plant things from her, and then I bought this book by Darryl Cheng called The New Plant Parent, and I've been going through that, and I've been making regular trips to my local plant store. So I have a Dracaena here. Now my Dracaena, I just looked at it before starting this video, and it doesn't look like it's doing very well. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I will have to do some more research when I'm done shooting this video. But today I added a Maidenhair Fern. That's what this is called. And then I also have my Peperomia here. And then at work, I have 2 plants that I'm keeping there instead of here because they're a little bit bigger and they're less safe in case Leia chews on them because they're bigger and because they're just like not super cat safe. But it's a Croton and a snake plant, Sansevieria. And like I said, they're a little bit bigger, but I keep them at work for that reason. And the goal is eventually all of these plants will be sort of propagated or whatever and then planted into the bioactive terrarium. So all of these are reptile safe, except for the Croton, really. Like, that one is sort of in the middle. Some would say it's safe, some would say it isn't safe. I think it's probably safe because a gecko isn't going to chew on it the way other reptiles might. Because I think it's like the sap in the leaves that's not safe. I have to still think on that one. But these little ones that I have here are for sure going into the terrarium, and I'm just really looking forward to crafting that bioactive terrarium, so that will definitely be a video as well. And I am a chronic overwaterer. I overwater every plant I've ever had in my life, so I definitely bought one of these. It's a water meter, and you just stick it in, and it tells you if the plant needs watering. That's what I'm trying to say. This one actually could use with a little bit of water because it's at 4, and it should be at 6. Which is what my guide said. And anyway, I guess that's really all the updates I had for what I've learned in 2 months of having a Crested Gecko. He's a lot less work than I thought he would be. My specific gecko is much more of an asshole than I thought he would be. I didn't think I would need a light, and I ended up really wanting one, so I got one both for the heat and just to be able to see into the terrarium. And I really love decorating the terrarium. I really love him. He's so cute. I love having him around. Don't think I don't, just because he's a jerk. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna get through this together, Roger and I. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you give this video a thumbs up and you subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And I will see you next time. Bye!